All right, welcome one, welcome all. This is obviously a little bit different. It's usually you're kicking off the intros, but it'll be me. We did this kind of, I think, last year, right? We did a little stint of, can't even remember what it was called. Rambling Achieved, right?
Rambling achieved. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. So for those people who stuck around that long, I don't know what the hell you've been doing in the meantime. There's not really been anything going on. But yeah, we obviously spoke about the channel and what we was doing with you, and it'd probably be wiser to be a little bit more flexible, pivotable, you know, and stuff like that, and just doing stuff that's not a good drink.
Dude, that felt fucking weird going down. I don't know if
There's
like
some of that Flint,
sorry.
Michigan water I've heard so
Holy
much about.
shit. Bro, it's got like scales growing on the side of that fucking water bottle. I don't know if you saw it. That tasted funky as fuck, man. I don't This is I sorry guys out the gate here, but so this is probably gross and I should probably be reprimanded for this, but I just leave water bottles sitting around and I just drink them. Like weeks can go by, months can go by, but if there's like a little bit in it and I see it, I'll just pop that bitch real quick. Like I don't if there's anything left in the water bottle, I don't throw it away. I'm like, I'll probably at some point want to drink that. But now I think I might have hit the breaking point. This has to have been like months old at this point because that fucking something's rotten. Something is rotten in that fucking water bottle. I feel like I'm about to turn into Eddie Brock or some shit. Um,
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. Thank you for sharing the water. Please keep it to yourself, though.
Yeah,
Um,
if you see me turning fucking green or my eyes kind of bleeding out, just you know, hey, I guess that's what happens. So drink your water while it's fresh. It does water like is there an expiration date on this shit? Like what is the
no, so that's the weird thing because I'm assuming you had the cap closed, right? Usually water doesn't go to bad; it goes kind of stale, I guess, when it sits, but it shouldn't, like, it doesn't go off.
That's weird. That
Was the
shit was
cap on?
horrible. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but who knows if I screwed it on all the way because I'm sitting here looking at this cap right now and that's not like
Mm,
completely on, and so I probably left like half of it's probably got fucking video game dust just collecting
mm,
inside.
some GameStop goodies. Yum yum.
Drinking on some GameStop water.
But
Sipping on the scissor.
yeah, we obviously we've been shaking things up here and there everywhere, and I thought, when we come over here, the idea will be to do one topic kind of thing. And today's topic, when we were talking about it, I don't know why I landed on it either. It just come to me.
Helldivers.
Was it Helldivers?
I
Must have,
assume that's
it
probably what
must it
prompted
must have
it.
been Helldivers. Also, fucking credit to Helldivers, that is doing really damn well. Like, I don't know if you saw the peak numbers on the stuff. I'm impressed as well. Like, I want to give them credit. Not enough games give you, when you're in the game, how many people are active. You used to get that in the old Call of Duty games, and they kind of obscure that data now. They're very very tight-lipped on numbers that companies don't like sharing that. Dude, fucking the moment it went live, I was there for the launch and stuff like that to try it out, being very very excited. It's like 300,000 people. Fucking immediately, it's like disgustingly high numbers.
Yeah, I don't really understand either because like Steam, the peak concurrent, or it hit around like 500,000 the other day.
Mm.
And it's like, y'all have had the game for forever. Is there like new content dropping in there or something?
The Halo crossover, and then
Gotcha.
today, is it today? They announced another thing. There's a big slew of content, but yeah, the Halo thing. People have been crying for it for ages, so I think that's the big cooling point for a lot of people. But yeah,
Got it.
the topic is games that probably would have done better on like other platforms and stuff like that. Because you've
Hmm.
seen this time and time again of where maybe a third party deal gets hand shook and then launches on the platform and sells like shit. And you're like, if it would have gone everywhere or even on a different platform altogether, it probably would have done a hell of a lot better. So how many? I think I got three. Did you want to rattle off threes? We do three piece.
Yeah, we'll both hit three. Sounds
Cool.
good to me, man.
So My one that I'll be beginning with is Sunset Overdrive. This is like perfectly encapsulating the life cycle of the Xbox One. Like it had a good like amount of games that probably would have been successful elsewhere. Like not we didn't have tons of shit on offer. It was definitely a struggle of a generation, but something like this, I it just I don't think I ever met anybody on Xbox that played it either. And even then, for me, I didn't really jump into it all too much. It just didn't have like an appeal really. To me, I don't know if you'll agree with this. I think it is. It would have been probably successful on either platform, being PlayStation or Nintendo. But I think it would have probably shone a hell of a lot better on a Nintendo platform more so than a PlayStation. I don't think they get this type of experience all too often on this, um, because this just feels like it's prioritizing fun over anything else, which fits within that the DNA structure of like Nintendo and stuff. Because you see like Odyssey and stuff like that, where it's a little bit more open, Mario Odyssey, and it seems to have done really well. I think this would have done really damn well on like a Nintendo Switch one.
Yeah. I I mean, I'm sure it could definitely run on a Switch too. I wouldn't be surprised to see this pop over on a Switch 2 at
Yeah.
some point, but it just doesn't seem like Microsoft really has any interest. But it's kind of the weird thing, like with Alan Wake, where they just allowed Remedy to get it back. Like, here, take the IP. We don't have no interest in really doing anything with it. And then Remedy goes off and makes one of the best fucking sequels and is going to go on to probably do some cross media stuff. So it's like, I wonder if maybe Insomniac, but mm, I don't know. Just PlayStation? Because I guess it would be more PlayStation trying to initiate the acquisition of the IP. Like maybe that becomes a little bit hairy where Microsoft's like, well, yeah, pay us $100 million for it and you can have it. But like
I
I just
mean,
at
they
some point I wonder
exist.
if it's worth it.
Well, they also just exist in a weird scenario now where they're like, PlayStation's beginning to flirt with it, but they're not having to. If they were to say greenlight for an example, like a Sunset Overdrive 2, it would be going everywhere. Like they wouldn't keep it on their platform and suffer the same mistakes. Like that'd be going PC day and date, and at this rate, PlayStation day and date. And like you said, the Switch 2 would be able to run it. I think as well, just remaster it and put it everywhere. It's the type of thing. I don't think it would take all that much effort to get that on like PlayStation and Switch
But
too.
I think that that's the thing. Without the ownership of the IP, I wonder if PlayStation would really want anything to do with it. You know what I mean? Like that's and obviously Xbox can do as they please. They can re-release it, port it wherever they want, and like they own the IP. But I just wonder, like, yeah, it, I feel like it would probably make more sense financially for Xbox to sell it to PlayStation.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Where like, because who are they going to get to make it? Because Sony owns Insomniac. Insomniac made the first game. Like, I don't know. It just, I but like I hate to be rude, but I look at that IP and I'm like, is that gonna have any juice ever anywhere? Like I maybe to some degree, but is that ever gonna be like a massive mainstream thing? Is it something worth investing in? But like I do think a lot of the bones of Spider-Man were kind of crafted and built from Sunset Overdrive. You see a lot of similarities with the movement and shit. So yeah, no, I mean that game's fucking incredible.
Mm. Yeah, I need to go back and give it like a fair shot. Um, but yeah, they're going through this like phase. Obviously, Gears getting another release, which I'm still surprised they got another like they could have just released the Ultimate Edition. Really, they didn't really need to do an extra edition, but they chose to do that. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw this get like a remaster, just to test the waters, see if it does sell well on other platforms. Um, so yeah, that would be my first one. Which one, out of curiosity, where would you think if it was to be originally released, which platform would it have succeeded on the most?
So if it could run on the Switch 1, that's kind of the caveat, right? Like if that thing could run on the Switch 1, it probably would have did really well on the Switch 1. It's fun, it's campy, it's a romp, it's good like summer blockbuster style game. I think it would have did really well on the Switch 1. Maybe the Insomniac kind of love and ties for PlayStation with the Ratchet games and Resistance and all that. Maybe there's something there where it just feels like it belongs on a PlayStation because of Insomniac, but I don't know. I think it would have did really well on I think it would have did well on both. I think it would have did much better on either a Switch or a PlayStation than an Xbox One.
Mm,
But I think that that's the unfortunate thing where like we can go through the entire catalog with the Xbox One and it would have did better anywhere but that console. Um and that's the unfortunate thing where like I look at my so I'll go ahead and hit into mine like Resistance going to the 360 would have did better. And I don't want to make my list all that where it's like okay, whichever console did better, the games that were on the other console should have went to the console that was performing better because it would have had more success on that system. But like that's obvious, right? Like Resistance would have performed much better on a 360 because there were millions upon millions of more players in the 360 ecosystem for the majority of the console generation. Of course, tail end PS3 kind of pulled ahead a little bit, but it was still like the 360 dominated the seventh generation, and everybody who was there remembers that. So Resistance absolutely would have did much better on the 360, probably would still be going on today. The weird what if scenario is like, what if Microsoft had acquired Insomniac before Sony did? And Resistance comes out exclusive for the 360, continues on into the Xbox One generation, and then they also make, something like Sunset Overdrive. And then if we're in this hypothetical world where Marvel approaches Xbox to get a Spider-Man game developed exclusively for the Xbox, what scenario are we in at that point with the Xbox One? Does it change anything at all? Like, just I love alternate what
mm.
if styled scenarios for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely it breathes the DNA of like a 360 game as well. That's the big
Oh yeah.
difference because when you think back to PS3 and stuff like that, to me when I was looking over the fence and being like, because that I know it's kind of obviously it's a PlayStation IP and stuff like that, but it's not. It didn't feel like a PlayStation IP. When I'm looking over there, I'm thinking Uncharted. That feels PlayStation. Like there's just a certain design, like God of War, that definitely feels PlayStation. And then The Last of Us, like Resistance, just felt like a probably their answer to Halo is what it was being kind of pushed as. And the other, what was the other one? It Resistance,
Killzone.
Killzone, like them two go kind of hand in hand, um, with trying to be that. Is there really much? Because out of curiosity, obviously not being in the PlayStation space, is there like a yearning for like Killzone to return? Do you feel
Resistance for sure, not Killzone so much.
okay? So is it the more the popular of the two franchises,
I
or is
think
it
Killzone might have sold a little bit better, but Resistance has the fanfare because
mm,
the games were just better.
okay? Hmm, interesting. Because yeah, Halo's not doing so hot. So maybe
Right.
if they did buy them, they could have potentially saved them. Or knowing Microsoft's you know mentality, they would have tried to make them make Halo games, and they would have struggled.
Right. Because yeah, I mean Ted Price, he just left Insomniac. He was there from inception, founder until last year when he finally left Insomniac. So like the DNA of that studio has been incredibly consistent. I mean, they had the weird pivot where they made like what was it, Songs of the Deep or something of the Deep? I forget the
Oh
name of the game,
yeah,
but
Call of no.
mhm,
It was one. It
something
was
to
one of
that.
the. It was a surprise because I remember Yahtzee covering it and being like, "What the hell is Insomniac doing? Making like essentially like not to be rude, like it felt like an entry level indie game. Like that's the kind of
Yeah.
thing that you'd expect. It's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah, they were struggling a little bit and then they got that Spider-Man money
Mm.
and coast has been clear ever since, except now they're kind of struggling again, seemingly with Wolverine. But we'll see. Anywho, not to dive 100 fucking feet into Insomniac's history.
They're doing better than most Xbox studios. It feels like they have a lot more security over them. Um, so that was my first one was to Nintendo. This one coming up is Lost Odyssey, and I think it would have done a hell of a lot better had it released on PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
This because it's still to this day. I don't think he's ever said it, Sakaguchi, but everybody that's kind of like touched upon it has been like, "This is what you know." there's a lot of people that regard it as what Final Fantasy X's like successor or even replacement. Like it's that damn good. Um, it's just unfortunate that it was tied to a console which doesn't favor JRPGs, and it still is to this day. It's a genre that I know they're really trying to get it off the ground. I don't think it's ever gonna be successful on an Xbox. Definitely offer it up, but these are never gonna dominate sales charts and stuff like that on an Xbox. It's just not what most of the fan base cares for, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that that's like one of the odd examples of that generation where the console with the smaller player base actually would have benefited the game from launching
Mm.
only into the console with the smaller player base, which is yeah, a little bit unusual, but that's definitely the example of that generation for sure. Um, I guess I mean I have one that hits my brain that's kind of similar where it definitely outperformed, and this isn't I didn't write this down, but just to throw it out there, like Astral Chain kind of fits into that for Nintendo. If Astral Chain would have came to PlayStation or Xbox, probably more PlayStation, but like probably would have performed better on a PS4 than the Switch, sales wise. It just feels like a PlayStation style game. You know what I mean? Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I think probably would have performed better on an Xbox One than a Switch 2, you know, or a Switch One. So like there's some of those examples where yeah, even though the Switch was so dominant, I think it does Deadly Premonition, you know, Deadly Premonition 2, No More Heroes 3. Like there are some of those examples, even though the Switch was so dominant, I think it does have a few games that would have performed better on the competitors' platforms.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that people don't seem to draw the distinction of is that I think some people have made them murmurings because how many like users are on PlayStation? Like it's north of 80 million, right?
Oh, hundreds of millions. And
Yeah.
if you're talking PS4 and PS5, yeah, hundreds and hundreds of millions, probably close to like 200 million.
And then when you look at when you're drawing like the parallel lines to like sales figures and stuff like that, and you do just so that's 10 million. So only 10 million people care for something of that, whereas a lot of the other amount of player base care for other genres or a more casual genre and stuff like that. It is just some genres just struggle on certain platforms and stuff like that, and that is the perfect example of like you said with Astral Chain and stuff like that because they're not bad games. It was surprising that they picked up Bayonetta as well
Bayonetta's a
because
perfect one as well,
Bayonetta
yeah.
it feels like it really struggled, and I don't want to. I don't. I think it will succeed in some like it needs to continue at some point. I assume it has enough pedigree behind it, but it's the type of thing like if I was making that decision, I would have probably made that same decision. It made sense probably to put it on the Switch, but it just didn't sell. It felt like it struggled, which is unfortunate. So yeah,
Yeah.
Lost
And that
Odyssey
was in
to PlayStation.
right, yeah, and that was in the era of Platinum, like anything they could get, any deal they could get to survive,
Mm.
they were gonna fucking take it because they were struggling. But yeah, so Lost Odyssey to PlayStation, throw Astral Chain to PlayStation or Xbox. I think that one makes some sense. But let's go with Ratchet and Clank to Nintendo. I think that
Mm.
Ratchet and Clank, if it would have launched on Nintendo, a lot of Insomniac once again, but I think if Ratchet and Clank would have launched on Nintendo, what would that have been? GameCube? Well, oof. So that's actually the issue. There was so few players playing a GameCube that it wouldn't have made any impact at all because there were great games that came out on the GameCube. A few great games that came out on the GameCube.
Yeah, maybe waiting for the successor.
Yeah, the Wii would have been the move. If Ratchet launched on the Wii, it would have been very, very successful. And then if Ratchet somehow would have launched on the Switch, it would have done crazy, crazy numbers. But I don't know actually, because if we're thinking specifically the style or specifically the time and the console that it would have had to have come out on, maybe not Ratchet with the GameCube. But I don't know. Once again, like there is just an audience for that style of game built in on Nintendo, you know, who buy those Nintendo consoles exclusively. So I, yeah, it just wasn't the GameCube just didn't quite have enough pizzazz, enough oomph, whatever you want to call it. You had like Melee, you had a few exclusive Zelda games that were good, um, but like you didn't have, there wasn't really the defining game of that console, or other than Melee. I guess Melee would have been it, but it just didn't feel like it had quite the same library that other Nintendo consoles had. So didn't quite, and then the PS2 just took everything
I
over.
was about
So
to say
I'm not,
it was such a dominant period from Sony, right? Because they also, what was it, the Capcom 5 was what it was known as, when they kind of
yeah, that
grabbed
is true.
them. Like Sony was cutthroat, man. People kind of forget, like they cut deals real damn quick with that
Well,
because it was like Resident
Nintendo
Evil
got
4.
that. That was the other. Nintendo, it was Resident Evil 4 was exclusive to the GameCube, and RE0 and RE1 were exclusive to the GameCube. And then they got PNO3, and they had a couple other ones in that lineup. The PS2 didn't get those exclusively.
No, they didn't get it, but it was marketed as it would be the only place to play them originally when they first came out, and then there was,
No, that was GameCube.
that's what I'm talking about. Sony was cutthroat in dragging them, like, because Resident Evil 4 made its way over to PS2, did it not?
Oh, gotcha,
That's what I'm
gotcha,
talking
gotcha. I
about.
see.
They were cutthroat in, like, that's why Nintendo struggled as well, still, of just that should have been their slam dunk. And they kind of, yeah, miscommunication. I don't know what happened behind the scenes of that, of like how wires got crossed that badly. Because it was portrayed originally as like that's theirs. Because that would have been a
Yeah.
massive get. All them 5 titles would have been crazy to have land on there and nowhere else. And then it was like,
Hmm.
actually, we'll take that. Thank
Yeah,
you. Like, yeah, Sony just knows how to do business big time.
for sure. Yeah. So, Um, yeah, I'll still stick with Ratchet to Nintendo though. I think right now Ratchet being on Nintendo would have a lot more success than Ratchet being on PlayStation currently. So go with that.
Yeah, we're gonna make a killer Switch 2 title.
Oh, dude. And I mean, in this era that we're living in of
Mm.
PlayStation being fucking, kind of getting into the realm of the third party publisher, like, dude, absolutely. Ratchet would be the game to put over there. Some old Ratchet games that,
Mm.
don't have, because like that's what they should do. If they're going to do single player stuff, do Ratchet 2016. Don't do Rift Apart, which Rift Apart couldn't run over there, but actually it might. It might be able to because it can run on a Steam Deck, I think. So anything that can run on a Steam Deck, the Switch 2 will run better than it. So we'll
Elden Ring begs to differ. Did you hear
yeah,
about that?
but does
Woo.
Yeah, that's probably more of a FromSoft issue though than actual hardware. Like the hardware is more powerful than the Steam Deck, the Switch 2 is, but it's just optimization, kind of like the thing where PC games run worse on a
Mm.
lot of PC games run worse than console games, but it's just, you know, we're
It's not a good sign though when you've announced a partnership with somebody like that and it being that, like, you should probably be a hell of a lot further ahead if you're making an exclusive for them. I'd hope that they were pushing resources to get that Elden Ring port up to scratch. Doesn't seem like it's very positive at the moment.
yeah, I don't know. I think that probably you're just not looking at that large of an audience of players buying Elden Ring on Nintendo, and I feel like FromSoft probably knows that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck it, we'll just throw this kind of dog shit port out there and eat it up if you want it. But yeah, you're right though. With Duskblood's coming out, and it's like, well, dude, you might want to get people up to speed on the style of game you're making. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep. It's funny that you mentioned it, because I'm assuming you meant Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. That would be where I don't think it would have been like excelling the Xbox, but I needed something to bring over. I just remember playing through the Ultimate Alliance ports, and I think it probably would have done better on either of the other consoles than Nintendo. I don't think this really did the numbers that they'd hoped, um, especially with it being a Marvel property. I don't know how expensive it was made to be. It seems like it cut corners in certain
it did.
aspects. Um, so maybe it didn't punish them as much as other titles probably would have. But I think it would have done better on PlayStation or Xbox. So having only Xbox left, I'll toss it over to them. I would have enjoyed this.
Yeah, I would have been. Oh, I think that it. I know Nintendo is absolutely not in the realm of Xbox and PlayStation in terms of they don't play well with others, and it's worked out really well for them. But at the same time, goodness gracious, man, I'd love to play Ultimate Alliance 3 on a PlayStation or an Xbox or anything other than a Nintendo. But
Because
hey,
you actually played it, right? How was the
finished it.
performance? Was
Oh,
it
all that
fun?
was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that stuff was completely fine. It's not like
It
a,
just
but
sold
that's the
poorly.
thing. I don't
Really?
even know about that. I'm just saying, like in comparison to like what it would have sold on PlayStation or
Mm.
Xbox, I think it would have done better on the platforms where the previous games were available, and
Yeah,
people played through them on PS4 or PS3 and 360 and PS2 back in the day, and yeah, so yeah, it's such a bummer that the third game just kind of skipped the platforms that the first two were on. But at the same time, business, baby, make that Marvel money if you can.
absolutely.
Should have just called it a different game though. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
that's the thing of like I will praise Nintendo the Switch's success. There's no denying that, but their third party dealings that pulled that kind of stuff like Bayonetta, because you're pulling a numbered thing off of other platforms where it was previously. It's a struggle to put it on, and then yeah, because the fan base is on them other platforms. Some people are just going to dig in their heels and be like, hell no, I'm not going to buy a Switch to play Bayonetta 3 just for that. It's a
no.
it's a risky move.
Well, shit, dude.
You
Is
had
it
one
your
more.
go?
I think I've done
Okay.
mine. My three were Sunset, Lost Odyssey, Marvel. You did Resistance, Ratchet, and
I
then Quantum Break is left. I think for you.
did I not already shout out Quantum Break?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll quickly shout out Quantum Break. Yeah, Remedy game, Roots of Remedy. Start with PlayStation, back on the PS2, Max Payne 1. Um, you know, Quantum Break, Alan Wake, kind of take your pick. Either of them would have performed better on PlayStation than Xbox, I would assume. But well, I don't know. Maybe Alan Wake 1, maybe not so much because the 360 was so dominant. But even then, I still do think the third person kind of narrative driven style of thing might have sold a little bit better on PS3 than 360. But yeah, the Astrobot to Nintendo would be another one that, like, I think that if you remove all of the PlayStation centric shit out of Astrobot, would have did incredibly well on Nintendo. Little Big Planet would have did incredibly well on
Oh, that is a
Nintendo.
shout. Yeah, Little Big Planet would
Yeah.
have done crazy good.
Yeah. And I even think something like I don't think they should do it. I think this would be suicide, but I think something like Spider-Man on I don't think it would do better, but I think Spider-Man on Xbox or Nintendo, the Insomniac Spider-Man, I think would do crazy, crazy numbers as well. Once again, don't recommend it, but it that thing would sell millions of copies on either of those platforms.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, given the success of Helldivers, when you're that's what they're looking at. Is stuff where it's that's very mass appeal. Helldivers for a lot of people. That's a very casual s game to just pick up and play, and they're seeing like the success that it's launching there. Do you reckon it will get a Switch port, or do you think it's just
Probably should.
because I think that would, yeah, the more the merrier. Like
Yeah. I don't know if the Switch audience would really be there for it, but at the same time, like if it can run on Steam Deck, it can run on Switch, so might as well just throw it there.
hmm. All right, well there we go. That was. I think you did more than three, but the more the merrier, as we said.
Yeah, I
Um,
have a lot that hit my brain with this type of thing. You can even go all the way back into like the PS2 original Xbox era, KOTOR probably would have did better on a PS2. And then if
hmm,
you well, I don't know. KOTOR had a strong roots of like the Western role-playing game. Jade Empire was over there, and then you get into Mass Effect exclusively on the 360 for a little bit, and you get into some of that territory. But if you look at something like on the PS2, a well. No, maybe not. Never mind. I had one that I was just like, I don't know if that's actually true. I was thinking about God of War on the original Xbox. I was like, I think that would be really fucking appealing to that audience where it's just super bloody, super action packed, super Western centric, which the Xbox was only a Western. Like nobody outside of the West owned an Xbox ever, really.
Yeah, they've always struggled with that market really badly. Even their ties with like when they had Japanese only games, like not Japanese released games like Lost Odyssey, but like games that only released in Japan, like they didn't sell. That didn't do
Yeah,
anything. I don't know if God of War would have done better because like they Dante's Inferno didn't really set the world ablaze
true.
and stuff like that. I think that the power is it being on wherever its roots came from. So if obviously if it did come from Xbox originally, maybe you can morph it into that. But it's yeah. I think Kotor would have done that was a good show. I think Kotor would have done really well on PlayStation because I
Jade
can't think
Empire.
of Jade of Empire probably would have done very well.
Yeah. Because that's kind of more like traditional.
Mm,
That's more PlayStation. That is it's an action adventure game with role playing elements, opposed to like a turn based role playing game, which was kind of out of vogue towards the end of the PS2 generation. But yeah, dude, there's so many you could go through the sands of time and pull out different like Splinter Cell and yeah, it's a ton. Yeah, but it's once again, you could keep on going over and over where it's like whichever console had more people, it's like probably the game would perform better there. But it's more fun to find the ones where it's like the console had fewer people, but the game still would have performed better on the other console.
mm. Yeah, because you see it obviously with the Horizon 5 like re-release, like it's selling absurdly well on PlayStation
Hmm.
because it has a bigger player count
Yep.
of people that if they're even slightly interested, hell yeah, I'll take a racing game of that ilk and stuff like that. Like I've if they could somehow pack that onto a Switch, that would probably sell like hotcakes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, without a fucking doubt. And they have to be able to at some point because it once again it's available. I think it's Steam Deck verified. Forza Horizon 5, if I'm not mistaken. So like you got to get that thing on the Switch too. Everything needs to be going to the Switch too. I don't know if you saw those numbers. It's still fucking dominating. Sold like 2 million copies in the last month or 2 million units in the last month.
Mm.
Just
I
pushing
think it said it
numbers,
was on
man.
pace to be outselling the Switch One at the same time frame. Like it's
Yep, it
getting very
is.
very close, which is
Outselling
crazy.
everything.
Like it's baffling.
Yep. Outselling every console ever at this point. It's
Mm.
fucking wild. But hey, man, shout out to you, Nintendo.
They know I've said this so many times. They know how to weaponize nostalgia. It's their greatest attribute.
To some degree, yeah, for sure. But they're also just so good about innovating within that space of like Donkey Kong Bonanza is unlike anything ever. Like there's no other game like that. You know what I mean? It's fucking that game is crazy on a technical level. There's layers of destruction. Like you're literally breaking through layers of this world and like having like an underground world, which they do that kind of with Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom as well. But there's like different, like they layer their worlds in such interesting ways. They're masterful fucking game designers over there. I just wish I liked their games more personally, you know, and that's the thing. As I'm playing Donkey Kong, I'm like, this is so good. This is such high quality. Same thing I felt about Tears of the Kingdom. I'm just like, I don't care about anything that's going on other than just breaking through things and breaking these fucking barriers and these different environments. But still, unbelievably well made game.
Yep. All right, we can wrap it up there. Nice, quick,
Yeah,
brief. Boom, boom, boom. 35 minutes. That wasn't too bad.
absolutely, man. That was fun.
Obviously, the channel for Brandon's channel will be in the description as it always is. If you've somehow stumbled upon here before there, make sure to go check that out. You obviously do great solo stuff. I'm over there from time to time now. I think there'll be less than usual, but still over there. We did the rankings today. I don't know when this will go up. I probably shouldn't have said that. They'll be like, there's no rankings there.
Hmm.
And they go there.
It'll the
Um,
rankings will go up on the 31st. Is there 31 days in August?
yes.
Yep, 31. So it'll go up on the 31st. So that will be available this Sunday for you all. So check that out. And yeah, Luna, I appreciate you for having me, man. And yeah, anytime you want me back over here to hop on to do some video game discussions, to shoot the breeze about the video games, dude, I'm very, very more than honored to be a part of the ramble, my friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and for sure, get on. Like I said, we'll just probably keep it to just one topic of this, and just keep it brief, nice and snappy. Won't
Perfect,
take up
dude.
much time. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.
Goodbye.